Hello, my Hello, my audience. Today I want to give you a little speech from the night, and you have probably seen that I live in the night a lot. And I'm going to be talking to you about the never-ending winter. It has been very brutal this winter, a lot of very, very cold nights, like minus 25 degrees. And I have been suffering from ailments in my knees and my fingers and my elbows, and also teeth pain and back pain and all kinds of like travesties like that. But there has been happening some good things in my life also. I got myself a new computer. It's going to be much nicer to do video making in the next year. And I've been reading a lot of books, and I'm going to tell you that when downtimes like this happen, you should be prepared and you should do something that you have neglected. For example, during this year I didn't do too much meditation, but in the winter time I have been doing it more, and sometimes even like 4 hours a day, and it has been great. But I would just want you to like look at your options right now and pick at least pick the least evil one of those options. The lesser of two evils. If you keep doing that, your choices will be pretty okay in the future. And I don't know if there's even winter in your country that you live in. It's possible that some of my fans live in countries where winter doesn't even exist. But I'm going to say to you that I feel personally that at this point in my life I shouldn't be living in Finland probably anymore due to the long winter. My body just can't handle this anymore, and I can't mentally, handle the fact that I have to be so isolated, through the year. I mean, through the winter. It's just that I can't take this, anymore. And I have a dream of living in some other country. And when I think about the climates, in this world, you might be from Americas, you might be from United Kingdom, maybe from some country like France or I don't know, Norway, Norvania, where the climate is a bit different. In Americas you get kind of everything. And I would want to live somewhere where I could use this language all the time. And speeches are one of my, things I would want to do for live audiences. And I feel that when I'm growing older, I gain a kind of wisdom that I could put into giving speeches. Just this last winter I have learned some things about, for example, the scarcity mentality, and I could talk to you a little bit about it over here. When in your life you have a kind of feeling that things are ending and you are running out of resources, just remember that there's probably some other resource that you are kind of overlooking. And if you learn to give your attention to this thing instead of that thing that is trying to kind of get your attention, you might end up with a better result and you might be better prepared. So, for example, I'm going to give you this just example over here. On my camera, I have about 40 minutes time to film on the SD card, but I also have the limitation of the battery. So this could be, as an analogy, your health and your money. You might run out of your health faster than your money. You understand? And you worry all about money when you should be worrying about your health. So what are those things that you are like operating from a scarcity mentality point of view? I'm going to say that in many ways I have used up my body. I've used my body, like there's nothing left. But in a sense, there's a lot of stuff left. And for example, this speech giving is one of my dreams I would want to do in English. And I would want to kind of find a new way to do it, kind of my own. There are so many speeches in this world that have been given. But what I feel is that when I will grow a bit older, like 35 years old, I will have the kind of wisdom that very few speech givers have ever given. And I'm going to deliver in it in a way that will make people like interested in it. So that's one of my dreams. I don't know about you, but when I was younger, the Finland, did I ever like the winter time? Well, there's greatness in it. And if you learn to use these things, it can be okay. But what I feel about my own personality is that I have this insisting mind. I insist that I have to get exercise just like in this pattern. I insist that things have to be done in this order. I insist in my brain that things have to be this way. And I notice that it's just not the mentality that you should be living with in Finlandia. In Finlandia, you need some flexibility. I could probably get away with this. I could even strive with this kind of mentality in some other land. And maybe my like late becoming all British American has been just about that I could probably strive in some other environment better. But as I said, there's greatness in everything, and sometimes people go for the flashy and the sparkling things in life, and they kind of mistake them for those things that will give them kind of happiness. And I feel that there might be something to it, and there's this, I don't know what to call it, maybe like a fool's promise, that if you do this thing, you will become, happy. This is where happiness is, but it's so hard to kind of reach, and so hard, so few people have actually reached that point, and so few people live like this. But it's a kind of a fool's promise that if you reach there, you're going to be very, very happy and nice. And I don't know about that. But then again, you might also ask the question, like, where do you draw the line between just practicing and actually doing something? Because, what I feel is that each time you go and you do something, you are kind of practicing, but you are also putting yourself out there. So there's no clear-cut line, between practice and performing, for example. Every time you perform, you are also practicing, you are getting better, or you are stalling, or seemingly stalling. And that's one of those things, if you don't understand, is that you make progress even though it might seem that you are not making progress. And lately I have been doing this exercise. I've been reading books in a rhythm, and I've been kind of singing books and rapping books and rhyming books. I mean reading with rhythm. And I feel that this kind of stuff is something that you don't see that I have done. But if you would see me talk, you would kind of understand this guy has done something. This guy has done something out of the norm. Has practiced in a way that is very not the way that people usually practice these things. And that's what I feel like honestly about many teachers, is that they kind of have a certain method to reach this goal. But what I feel about originality and creating something new and innovation, I feel that that's not the way that we should learn. We should learn in a new way, and we should form this idea of general coaching. So general coaching is just the fact that I can give you a kind of mindset and a structure, and you are going to put your content in that, kind of in the same way that on YouTube you can upload so many types of videos, but it's still a video. And in the same way you can give speeches in so many ways, but there are structures, for example rhythms and this kind of stuff. If you think about like buildings, they have blocks in them, and very many times when you build buildings all the blocks are the same size, but it doesn't have to necessarily be that way. It would be visually much more interesting if it was different than that. So don't take anything for granted how people do things. It's just the way that if you pose an idea from like the outside, like maybe we should build a building that looked a bit more interesting, like rhythmically. As an architect would say that won't work. Like it's not possible to build it like that. And it might be well possible that it's not possible to build that kind of building, but probably the architect wouldn't have come up with the idea in the first place. So think about these questions. Becoming too narrow-minded is very bad, but at the same time when you start giving speeches, for example, to everybody, and you try to cater to everybody, you kind of lose you become depressed because you don't have any more of that something. When you try to kind of cater to everybody's needs, like what do everybody need? Well, like there's some things that everybody is kind of interested in, like water and food, but even in those things people who are satiated won't give a shit if you give a talk about water, they won't give a shit. So think about that. Or clean air, some of the things I have been talking about on my YouTube channel, for example the clean air, it's so crucial for your brain health and your functioning, but I feel that those videos are one of the most, people don't care about clean air, they just don't care about it. I believe that it's due to two things. It's powerlessness, they can't do anything about it, they can't seemingly move, and the other thing about that is that they don't want to think about it because they don't see the effect. They are not conscious of it. They don't have that mind able to discern that this week when I did this, things were better, and I can say that this variable, it's nerd language, but this variable made it better. So think about it. Clean air, it matters. And if I think about, for example, that traveling, that kind of stuff, living in some other climate, it might be that sometimes, fantasizing like this, you don't see the opportunities. The opportunities are everywhere, but you might have to build a lot of like stages to your progress before you see that, yeah, I'm going to use this opportunity now because I see the value of it. Some other person might not see the value of it. For example, being seen somewhere or being heard at somewhere, they wouldn't appreciate that because they don't have that thing they are kind of pushing into the world. And I remember this one speech by Actualized where he talked about how man's, like being a man is all about, putting something to the world, and I kind of agree with it. And I feel that so many young males are going in just the opposite direction, trying to get something from the world all the time. And they have this, mentality of just, getting something. And they have, given up, that old mentality of being in this world to like, give something out of themselves. We have come in this modern time, a period where everything's kind of cozy, and we have like all kinds of products out there, and we produce stuff, but we have, we are stuck in a rut, as a society and human beings. We can't progress anymore because we are too addicted to stuff, and we are too complacent, and we don't have enough energy, and our brains are scattered because of technologies and this kind of stuff. There is no more forward progress. We kind of thought that we are creating a future, and we ended up creating a prison, or a kind of, a cozy place where we can hide, and that's bad. And every, speech giver that has had any effect in this world has always kind of, hammered, at this, like, look at this, you know like how easily it will break, and it won't last. That's the message of every great speech. But some of the speeches that have been given, have also kind of have been made to motivate and put people into action to build that kind of a nest, around them, to protect themselves. But yeah, maybe we have to find that, mentality of like the olden age again, where we didn't have, that protection. We didn't have those things to lose, so we were more brave. Yeah, and conformity is just that. It's just that you try to hide, and it's very, very, possible that it will kind of make you survive very well. But at some point, you will just, look at the hollow life that you don't like to live, and you feel stuck, and you feel that you are stuck by outside forces. But there's stuff in you that you can unleash, and if you give it to the world, something great will happen. Yeah. So that's the speech. Thanks for watching.